Good morning and welcome back to the Dizzy Diaries. I'm Tave, your podcast host and exercise physiologist. Today, we're talking about something that almost every person with a chronic illness eventually has to learn, whether we wanted it or not. Advocating for yourself, or as I like to call it, becoming your own unpaid PR manager, medical historian, investigator, and occasionally hostage negotiator. Because living with dysautonomia, POTS, chronic illness, or honestly any invisible illness often means existing in this strange space where your symptoms are incredibly real, but not always visible to the people around you. And after enough dismissive comments, rushed appointments, normal blood test results, or being told to just reduce stress, many of us start to shrink ourselves. We know that a lot of people are doing it with good intent, and yes, there is always value to reducing stress and creating a good environment around you, but sometimes it just comes across at face value without understanding the deeper meaning. We minimize symptoms, we apologize for asking questions, and we convince ourselves we're overreacting. Meanwhile, our bodies are out here sounding like broken Victorian machinery climbing up a staircase. So today I want to talk about how to advocate for yourself without feeling difficult, dramatic, or like a burden. Firstly, let's start with why advocacy feels so hard. I think one of the hardest things about chronic illness is that you often don't just battle symptoms, you battle self-doubt. So there's a physical and a mental element to it, especially with fluctuating conditions. Because one day you maybe function almost normally, you feel really good, and the next day your body acts like it has entered power saving mode on your laptop after replying to 2 emails and standing upright for 7 minutes. And that inconsistency makes people question themselves. You start thinking, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe I should just push harder. Maybe I'm wasting everyone's time. But symptoms do not need to be constant to be valid. And needing support does not mean you're failing. I think many of us learned very early on that being easy, low maintenance, or resilient earned praise. So when we suddenly need accommodations, answers, investigations, or help, it feels deeply uncomfortable. But advocating for yourself is not being demanding. It's communication, it's translation. Your doctor cannot feel your symptoms from across the desk, and we need to remember this, and that's why it's so important to try your best to explain it, look for trends, and kind of explain how things have changed over the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, or just the last couple of days, and explain how it goes up, how it goes down, and any things that you notice that cause this. This really helps the person to understand what's going on inside of your body. Your job is to help paint the picture and paint it as clearly as possible. Let's move on to practical ways to actually advocate for yourself. When your nervous system is already fried like an overworked office printer, you do not need vague advice. Firstly, bring notes. Your symptoms will disappear from your brain the second someone asks, so what's been happening or how are you feeling? Suddenly, you've apparently never experienced this illness in your life, so bring your notes. Heart rate data, symptoms, patterns, questions, so that you can easily look back at your notes and remember or explain information by reading through it. Not because you need to prove yourself, but because dysautonomia symptoms are complex and easy to forget under pressure. And if you have this kind of diary or tracking system or notes, it can really help to give more information to the doctor and help dissect this together. Secondly, describe the impact, not just the symptoms. Yes, it's important to say this is how I feel, but describe how it affects your day to day. So instead of only saying, I feel dizzy, try, I struggle standing long enough to cook. I need to lie down after showers. My heart rate jumps 40 beats when I'm standing still. I'm struggling to function at work or keep my attention span. Doctors often respond more clearly when they understand the functional impact and assess it a little bit more in detail. Thirdly, and this is very important, stop apologizing for existing. You're allowed to ask questions, request clarification, say you don't understand, ask for alternatives, get a second opinion. You're not annoying for wanting to understand your own body. You literally live there. Number 4, it's okay to outgrow a doctor. This one's hard, but not every clinician will be the right fit. Some are incredible and they might work with you for years, and some are burnt out or maybe need a change of eyes on your case. Some people are simply not educated enough in autonomic dysfunction. A doctor not understanding your condition does not mean your condition isn't real, and this is where it's really valuable to see how your doctor understands that. If you have a couple of sessions, naturally doing some research before you see a doctor is helpful, or just speaking to your GP or point of contact to make sure you're getting the appropriate practitioner for what you need. Following on from these practical tips, and I advise that you use them whenever you can, going into an appointment, trying to look at your information yourself without overwhelming yourself, but trying to use it as data that you can kind of see on the paper. Let's go into the emotional side. I think what people don't talk about often enough is how emotionally exhausting healthcare can become. Appointments become little performances. You rehearse symptoms beforehand, describing them, thinking about them, trying to show them as best as possible. You calculate whether you sound sick enough. And Murphy's Law, often we feel better before doctor's appointments, and this kind of happens to everyone, so don't feel bad about that. You worry about crying, because then you'll seem anxious and feel like it's more of a mental than a physical thing, but your body is carrying this physical load, and you're the person living in your body every single day, so it makes sense that it will have an emotional toll as well. You might also worry about sounding too calm, because then you'll seem fine and downplay what's actually going on. It is exhausting. And for many people with chronic illness, medical trauma becomes layered over the illness itself. So if appointments make you anxious, emotional, shut down, or overwhelmed, that makes sense. So if you take one thing from today's episode, let it be this. Advocating for yourself is not selfish. It's not attention seeking, and it's not weakness. Your symptoms deserve language, they deserve interpretation, your experiences deserve acknowledgement. And your body deserves care, even if other people do not immediately understand it. Many people want to understand it, and you have to explain it and use a little bit more kind of creativity when trying to let someone understand what you're going through, and explain it from different angles if they can't understand. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Please take care of yourself gently this week. Hydrate, sit down dramatically whenever necessary, and just remember that you are worthy, you're here for a reason, and I want you to try and explain as much as you can to other people to get the help that you need. And I'll see you in the next episode.